Let's talk about 3 behaviors that are totally misunderstood. Things that might seem like flaws, but could actually be signs that your mind is just running on a different operating system.
You know, we all have those little habits, right? The ones we get judged for, the ones we might even judge in ourselves. But what if they aren't flaws at all? What if some of the things you do that seem the most strange are actually signals of a highly intelligent mind at work?
It's not about being odd for the sake of it. It's all about depth. It's a sign that your brain is engaging with the world on a level that's just a lot more complex than most people are used to.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to decode 3 specific habits. And look, this isn't about judging anyone else. It's about finally getting a look at your own mental instruction manual.
First up, let's talk about something that looks like a lack of organization. We're calling it the logic of mess because, well, there's usually a hidden system inside what looks like total chaos.
So, does this sound familiar? Maybe your desk looks like a hurricane hit it, but your digital files are perfectly organized. Or your car is a disaster zone, but your bookshelf is alphabetized. That contrast, that's the whole point.
And that's the immediate judgment, isn't it? Anyone else looking in just sees the surface-level mess and they immediately write it off as a character flaw. You know, they're lazy, they're disorganized, they just don't care.
But psychology gives us a much better term for this: selective organization. And this completely reframes it. See, it's not a failure to organize. It's an active strategy to organize only what really matters. Your brain is making a smart, calculated decision to save its energy for the systems that give you the biggest bang for your buck.
So let's be super clear. It's not laziness, it's cognitive efficiency. It's not disorganization, it's a really sharp form of prioritization. Your mind is just working smarter, not harder, by focusing on what counts. That isn't a weakness, it's a strength.
Okay, let's dive into our second habit. This one often happens inside our own heads, but sometimes it slips out. We are talking about the power of self-talk.
Think about it. When you're facing a really tough problem or you're trying to structure a big idea, do you ever find yourself just talking it through? Maybe muttering to yourself or having a full-on internal debate? Playing devil's advocate inside your own head?
Of course, if anyone catches you doing this, they're probably going to think you're distracted or, let's be honest, just a little bit strange. It's not exactly conventional behavior, so it gets labeled weird pretty fast.
But here we go again. There's a formal name for this incredible tool: verbal reasoning. By putting your thoughts into the structure of language, even if you're the only one hearing it, you're forcing your brain to organize them logically. It takes all those abstract feelings and turns them into a concrete step-by-step sequence.
So the takeaway here is huge. This isn't some weird oddity or a sign of no focus. It's actually a form of advanced processing. You're building a mental scaffold to create a clearer, stronger idea. It's a sign that your mind is actively working to find a solution.
And that brings us to our third and final habit. And this one is all about how you deal with other people's ideas. It's that tendency you have to think against the grain.
This is a big one. You're the kind of person who questions the status quo. You challenge popular opinions. You absolutely need to understand the why behind a rule before you'll even consider following it. You don't just jump on bandwagons, you inspect them first.
And yeah, the social cost for this can be pretty high. People might call you difficult, stubborn, or say you're just being a contrarian for attention. It's a really easy way to dismiss someone who won't just go with the flow.
But the reality is what we call independent cognitive processing. Your mental framework isn't built on what's popular. It's built on what's logical. You value actual evidence and solid reasoning way more than you value social proof. It's not about being disagreeable. It's about needing an idea to stand up to a real stress test before you'll accept it.
So it looks like stubbornness is actually intellectual integrity. What seems argumentative is really just critical thinking in action. You're not trying to be difficult. You're just committed to what's true, whether it's popular or not.
So let's tie all this together. The selective organization, the verbal reasoning, the independent processing. These are not random quirks. They are features of a very specific mental operating system.
And if any of this has been hitting home for you, if you spent years feeling like you just don't quite fit in or that the way you naturally are is somehow wrong,
You're not. You're not broken. You're not strange. And you are definitely not wrong.
Your brain is just optimized for a different set of priorities. It's designed to filter out the noise and focus on what's real. It chooses the accuracy of a solid idea over the performance of just fitting in. It values depth over being superficial.
And once you really understand how your own mind works, you can stop trying to force yourself into a system that was never built for you. And then you start to realize something really important. You were never behind. You were just operating on a different level.
You know, if this felt less like you were learning something new and more like you were just being described with, like, uncomfortable accuracy, there's a really good reason for that. Thanks for watching.